Check, check.
All right, we're here with Kevin Marks from Look Back Library. How you doing, Kevin?
Great.
Where are we at?
We're at the Desert West Skatepark parking lot. This is day 2 of Phx Amateur 2025. And yeah, we just had this opportunity to do this bike ride this morning. I thought we'd start from here, end from here, and see what we can see in the neighborhoods around here. Talk. Give a little
Everyone's
talk.
Fired up already. You can hear these guys.
Oh yeah. We'll cruise by the line over here.
Here's the famous van.
Yeah.
Kevin travels around the country in this thing, distributing magazines. And
I got this thing at the end of 2010 with 165,000 miles on it. It has 481,000 miles on it now.
Dang.
So I've been around the country quite a few times the last 13, 14 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Woo.
Handful of these kids have been here all night because the first couple hundred people through the gates get a special gift bag, and so they just hang out, kind of like trying to get tickets for that killer concert you've always wanted to go to. But everybody generally gets in and watches some of the best amateur skateboarding on the planet.
Yeah. And most of this is thanks to
Cowtown Skateshop here.
Yeah, gotta shout out Cowtown.
Sure, Trent, Laura, and Ed. 4 locations within the valley here. And their Tempe location is where we have what I call our 3rd largest library. Trent, with his involvement in skateboarding over the last 35 years, had amassed quite a magazine collection. And he was early adopter to the library program, and has continued to give us more and more space to grow their library as I find more and more international magazines and zines, and so it kind of in there.
Yeah.
It's one of our largest, but it's not out on the floor at the shop in Tempe. It's back in their office space because it does take up so much space, and it does have magazines all the way back to the 70s. So
How do people access it?
you'd have to set up an appointment with somebody that works there.
Okay. So, Look Back Library, just a brief summary, history, nothing crazy because there's so many videos out there.
Yeah. So this is the 10th year I've been doing this. I was always a magazine collector as a kid. When I first started skating in '86, got my first Thrasher, got my first Transworld, and then subscribed to those magazines, subscribed to Power Edge in '88 when that came out. And I grew up in Kansas, and that's pretty isolated skate scene. There was a scene there, but might be a surprise to a lot of people. But I learned about skating through the magazines that I would read and reread, and front to back to front. And that was like the main thing that I collected as a kid was, keeping all my magazines in order and keeping them in good shape and moving them. When I went to college, I moved them to Colorado, and then when I moved to San Diego, they moved with me there. And but so it's basically a historic preservation project. So I started to see a lot of the magazines go out of business in the early 2000s, and I'd worked in sales for a long time in skateboarding and wasn't really happy doing that sort of stuff, and I finally got out of sales and just kind of roamed around for a while, and then kind of had this opportunity to work on a library at a nonprofit in Colorado called Launch, and had a light bulb moment after working with Trent at Cowtown, working with Todd at the Skateboarding Hall of Fame, and working with Launch, and kind of doing this shift and recycle project where I'd pull doubles out of one person's collection and figure out what's needed at all the collections and start bringing doubles and filling in holes here and there, and And you know, so I had a couple of shops in the program early on, and as I would just travel around the country, basically I've been kind of living out of my van and traveling the country since 2011, and always stopping it. Since I did skateboard sales for so long, I know most of the shop owners that have been in the game for the last 20 years, and so I'm always stopping at skate shops and seeing how they're doing and seeing what the layout is like in the shops. So I just started offering this program where, hey, if you have an interest in sharing skateboarding history with your customer base, provide a little bit of space at your shop and I'll bring magazines and fill up whatever space you have available. And so started with, you know, basically three shops, and we're up to somewhere in the 150 library range right now, mostly in the US, some in the Netherlands, some in Australia, some in Canada, and those have kind of all been put up through volunteers or associates of mine. I haven't been traveling overseas, but yeah. So
what's the average size of one of those libraries?
Well, there's no set, you know, everyone's different. It can just be like little 3-shelf, 2-foot wide, three shelves. It can be really small. Some, like we just did just a little zine box at one of the shops in San Diego called Local Skate Shop out in Lakeside. You know, so like if these smaller shops, they don't have a bunch of room, and I know that I don't want to take away from merchandising space, you know, but we can make it real small or real big. If you've got a back room or a chill zone with a TV and a couch, let us build a shelf, and we'll stock it up with a good variety of the different magazines over the last 30 years and let your customers poke around in it, you know?
That is so rad.
From time to time, we'll get contacted from a new shop that's like, hey, what's the deal with your program? How do we get involved? But most of the libraries have stemmed from me reaching out to my shop contacts from over the years, and or when I'm on the road, stopping at a skate shop that maybe I haven't been to yet, surveying the layout of the shop and kind of identifying a spot that a library could work, or we could just build a little shelf and fit it in here in this space that's not easy to merchandise. And I've got magazines with me, I've got limited shelf buildings materials with me, and you know, we can bang it out in a couple hours if the shop owner's interested. So the majority of the shops and the libraries have happened from me just kind of going in and giving the soft pitch about it and just being able to do it that same day. The larger ones, there's only a handful of libraries that continually give us more and more space to grow them. So most of them are finite. It's just like we build it, that's the space, that's the shelf size. Maybe I'll leave a couple of feet for people to bring, you know, because it's supposed to be a community resource, right? So I kind of start it with a seed program, like a base library, and then you hope that through the shop's social media they can network with their customer base to encourage.
You want to just stay in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
Or do you want to? Okay.
Yeah, we can bust a Yui here.
There's a truck coming. You know,
yeah,
watching
I mean,
the history.
But magazines were a lot more prevalent. I think, you know, the skate shops carried them.
Yeah.
And the subscriptions were pretty cheap, and now, you know, there wasn't a ton of content there was no internet, you know, like, so.
You know, speaking of money, I always wondered this, and maybe you have some insight. Why was the subscription always so much cheaper than
buying it at the skate shop? Well, I mean, it's a loss leader for the magazine, so that they can show advertisers that our subscriber base is this amount of people, and that's what attracts the advertising dollars, and what allows you to set the price for how much a full page ad costs.
Yeah.
And you know, Thrasher is still that way today, where, you know, it's like $25 for a year, and maybe you get a free T-shirt.
Yeah.
But that doesn't even cover the postage to get the magazine to you. But it's just kind of like the lost leader at the grocery store with the soda pop on sale for 99 cents or whatever, just to get you in the door to buy other stuff. But in this case, it's to attract advertisers.
Yeah. So we don't have to discuss any current mags or current prices, but can you give me an idea of what advertising costs back in the day? Like,
well, I remember hearing that like a page in Thrasher Transworld was between $5,000 and $7,000.
That's what I heard too.
But then now I think it's dropped considerably. I'm not privy to how many issues Thrasher makes right now, but it's lower than it has been over the years.
Yeah, I would guess that for sure.
Uh-oh, we got a cat, black cat.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on, kitty? Good to see you.
He wants to play.
Yeah, buddy. I'm a cat man myself.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I have one dog, but my kid loves cats.
Ooh, I think there's an empty pool right there.
It's funny. Oh, so many here. I wanted to ask you about funding.
Money, money, money.
How are you funding all this? I know obviously you have donations and you sell things. I'm going to have a link to your website down in the description, but
yeah, we don't sell much. I'll headhunt magazines for certain collectors that are trying to fill holes in their collection of, I'm missing February 2012 Transworld, and so
yeah, there's
certain stuff we have boatloads of, 20 copies, 30 copies of something that we got a whole box of or something, and those are things we need to sell to kind of make room, because we're getting to that point at my house where space is becoming an issue.
Yeah.
So we do sell mags. If you're looking for something specific, we can probably help you out, unless it's Thrasher #1. There's certain things that are highly rare.
Yeah.
Sure. That we don't have. We'll have one of or two of, but nothing what I would consider excess. And so we sell some magazines. We get a little bit of support from the industry, as far as like when I go out on a trip for months on end, Pal and Bones Bearings have been good and supply me with product that I can kind of sell along the way, and certain shop owners will kind of know that that's how I fund my things, so they'll buy whatever boards and trucks I might have with me. That puts a little bit of gas in the tank. And then there have been smaller instances where I've planned social media posts for some of the clothing companies, like they want to do a little retrospective thing on some of their riders and they don't know where any of the images are. I've pulled in a little bit of funding that way.
Yeah.
I'd like to do more of that. And it's basically, I got to a point in my life where I have some passive income, and I just would be traveling around, living in my van most of the year anyways, and renting out part of my house, and that's what kind of keeps me going. I live a pretty frugal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Outside of, you see me driving around the country all the time, but I never pay for a hotel. I eat pretty simply. I don't take, Jamaican vacations. It's just like my life is pretty well focused on skateboarding and hot springing and swimming in rivers and visiting my friends, so those are my main interests, and I've kind of been fortunate to make some choices that have kind of led me to be able to do this and be semi-retired at 50 or whatever. And so I just pretty well surround myself with skateboarding and my friends in skateboarding, and continue to get jazzed upon learning more and more about skateboarding as I interview pros about their covers or
I definitely wanted to mention that. Kevin has this really, really sick YouTube page, which will be linked below also. Look Back Libraries across all your social media, and
yeah.
And he does these rad interviews with people who have had covers of magazines.
Yeah.
And I love it, man. I watch all of them.
You do, good.
It's so rad that you get covers from like other old pros and whatnot, and so you show the pro their cover, and then they can see whose magazine that used to belong to.
Yeah, that's part of it, and a lot of these. So this little feature I do. It's every Sunday I put one up. It's called Cover Discussions, and it's just an effort. You know, initially before I was doing the video series, I would meet these pros and have them sign their covers, and then they'd start telling me these cool stories, this background information about how the cover came to be, or who was there, or how many tries they go, or if it was a make or not, you know, and you know, I just, you know, I was a little nervous, and the production quality of my stuff is still pretty poor, but it's about the story, right? And so these stories that we get are pretty entertaining, and it's just stuff we'd never hear about, you know. And so I'm part private detective as far as trying to track down a lot of these old pros that maybe had a cover or two in the 80s or early 90s, you know, just to get their story. And yeah. I keep it pretty well focused on the magazines, and yeah, so it's been going for over 4 years. When I started it around early COVID, I didn't know how long I'd be able to keep going, but I haven't missed a Sunday in over 4 years now.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so it's been real routine. I've got quite a few banked up and ready to go, and so we bust a UE again?
Yeah, we can go down this side.
Okay, and then cut back through, yeah. Okay.
We're probably getting some good interviews this weekend too.
Just one. We got, and it's rare that I'm able to do one, edit it the same night, and then put it out. But I've been after Jeff Rowley for years, basically.
Wow,
to
he's
try.
Here?
Yeah, Jeff's here.
I saw him on someone's social media.
Yeah,
John Brown, I think.
Yeah, he's been around. He's come the last couple of years through Yeti's involvement. He's a Yeti ambassador, and he's been a long-term rider for Vans as well. Yeah. And so he's come out and just hung out basically, and he skates. He got there super early yesterday morning, and I was there to kind of film him skating the course before the contestants came out to start practicing.
That's so sick. You got a little footage of him, huh?
Yeah, so got a little footage at the end. That's pretty rare where I actually have the opportunity to film some clips and put that at the end of the video. But yeah, so later this afternoon his episode will air, and I knew he would be here. I didn't know if we'd have the opportunity to film a interview about his covers, but he was gracious and made some time after he was skating yesterday morning. We did it up in the judges booth, had a overview of the whole park, and people had started practicing by then, and he got to tell a lot of stories about, he's one, some people will just have one cover and we'll talk about that, right? And
yeah.
But Jeff has over 25 or whatever, and so the guys that have a ton of covers, we don't go into detail on every cover.
Yeah.
We just kind of pick some of the ones that they have a story about, and go from there. But yeah, we try to keep them between 3 and 15 minutes, and
I know I've found myself wanting more several times.
Yeah,
but
and
it is tricky because if you make your videos too long, I've found that on my channel.
Well, and oftentimes I'm doing these on the fly where I haven't set this up in advance. We're at an event maybe, and I don't want to take up too much of their time. It's not.
I was going to ask you about how you have all the covers on hand. Like, did you know you were going to see Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew I'd see him. I didn't know if we'd have time to do it, right? So I'm the one that's got to be prepared.
Yeah.
And make every opportunity open as many doors as I can to get it done, right? And so generally when I'm not on the road for extended periods of time, I'll have a couple of crates that I keep in the van that are segmented by San Diego County, Orange County, LA area. I've got NorCal crates in case I take a trip up to San Francisco of covers that I need to get signed, or people that I've expressed interest in wanting to do one, but it's just a matter of when can we get together. And yeah, so I have to do a lot of forecasting as far as who I might see where, depending on if there's a tour going through somewhere that I'm going to be on when I'm out on the road for 6 months on end. And
those things are heavy too. I'm sure that eats into your miles per gallon and everything.
And I've gone through 2 transmissions in the van.
Oh, wow.
I'm on the original engine at 481,000 miles, but I've had to go through 2 transmissions already, and those are pretty expensive. But yeah, so with all the weight that I carry, and then so this summer I won't be on the road quite as long as I have in other years, but I'll leave after the Skateboarding Hall of Fame event on May 30th. So I'll prepare for that. I'll have an exhibit at the Skateboarding Hall of Fame event, and then I'll go to Vert Alert in Salt Lake City, and then to Jeff Amet's thing in Big Sandy, Montana. It's in July. I just heard about a tour, a Thrasher tour, maybe through Montana. I'd like to be able to go to that. Lucas before was telling me about a little tour he's planning with ASICs around the country to some of the better shops around the country that I want to hit in April. And so, yeah. So I'll leave. I guess what I was trying to say is when I leave for extended amount of time, I pack the van with as much as I can.
Yeah.
Of our excess that I can build libraries with. Plus, I kind of know my general route, and I'll bring a crate of covers of dudes that I do want to try and track down, whether it be Karma Tosheff in Dayton, Ohio, or Mike Conroy somewhere in the Midwest, So
I can't even imagine the strategizing you have to kind of do.
Yeah, I mean,
because you have all the signatures, and then meeting pros that you haven't got the signatures, and then
yeah, it's a lot of planning, and it's a lot of,
and you're taking donations all the time also.
Right. So there's certain times of the year, once I've been out for a while, maybe I've built a few libraries, so I'm kind of depleted on what I brought with me, but I've picked up donations, and of donations that we get in the US, only not even 5% of it we need for the master archive. So pretty much most of the stuff I get on the road gets flipped right into newer libraries, and we don't have to keep it and bring it back to California. So, yeah. But it's hard to forecast when I'll get a donation, right? So there's some times where there's a shop that wants a library that we don't have enough mags to do a bigger one, but we can again, it can always just be a starter seed project. And there's another cat.
Yeah, oh, that's a big boy.
Hey, buddy. That's not a cat. Let's go see this guy. What are you doing? Are you digging? Where are you going? Psst, 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 psst. Oh, okay. Not everybody wants to hang out.
Yeah, I was surprised on your website that you didn't have a little more product, like t-shirts and stuff.
Well, see, I don't want to be a brand. I don't want to make stuff. What this project is all about is recycling and repurposing, right?
Yeah.
I look at myself as an anti-capitalist. I don't want to create stuff that people don't really need, right?
Okay, yeah.
And use virgin resources. But if it's something that's already here, so sometimes when we do t-shirts, it's like t-shirts that have been donated to me to give away, but I'll meet a skate shop owner that has a screen printing operation in the back of his shop, and I'll be just like, put a little look back logo on the sleeve or something of these 12 shirts that I have. That's that great. I'm going to give away anyways.
I love that.
And so.
Yeah, I hear you, and that's extremely respectable. I just wonder how you Where are these dogs coming from?
He's got a treat.
Cute little dogs running around. They got out from somewhere.
Yeah. They don't want to mess with us. They're running the streets.
You grew up in Kansas, went to college in Colorado.
Fort Collins, yep.
And that's where you met what's the nonprofit called?
It's called Launch, and that's where I met the two guys that started the skate shop in Fort Collins. And then one of the guys went on to be a pretty successful real estate guy. Got out of the shop, left it all to the Andy. Andy then sold the shop. He kind of got burnt on retail and sold the shop to.
There you go.
He sold the shop to two of his old employees, and he started this nonprofit called Launch Community Through Skating, and it's kind of central to Colorado, isn't it? Yeah, it's based in Fort Collins, and they'll do skate camps where they go around just some of the skate parks within like an hour radius of Fort Collins, but it's basically like a booster club for skateboarding in that region of Colorado. They'll do video premieres and skate. They have an indoor skate park. They'll do creative skate workshops. It's a really cool situation, and I was on the board of directors for a while, and that's kind of led me to doing the library project for them. And
yeah. So after college, how did you get into sales?
Well, during college, I opened a skate shop. So I worked at a skate shop in Kansas as a kid, and then I would go to school.
What was it called?
The skate shop I opened in Colorado was called Move, and the skate shop I worked at in Kansas was called Paradise Sailboarding Company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the sailboard shop that sold skateboards, and during the '80s craze. But the owner of that shop really was a great mentor for me, and showed me the ropes about basically running a small retail operation. And so when I got to college, I got kind of a manic idea that I should open a skate shop. Did that for a couple of years, and then was undercapitalized. I was just working off my lawn mowing money that I had as a teenager and buying product, and we never sold that much stuff. It was a great experience, but didn't really.
How long was Move open?
Just 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, again, got experience, and I made contacts with the manufacturers,
Yeah.
and so I had a pretty good relationship. We did a foundation demo in '94, and when I moved to San Diego with some buddies, I reached out to them, and when I first got to San Diego in July of '95, they didn't have anything available, but I stayed in touch, and a position opened up in international sales. Like Mark Waters had been doing international sales, and he was moving into team management because Mike Ballard, who was the old team manager that helped make Rolling Thunder, he was moving. The foundation video, Rolling Thunder. Yep. He was moving on to do other things with Absolute Wheel Company and Supernaut with Paul Sharp, and
wow.
And so I became the international sales manager at Tumieto for 3 years. And then
other than shop owner, that was your first big job in the industry?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big job.
Yeah.
To just step up into, Tumieto was a huge company back then.
Right.
Who were the owners then? Swank?
Well, it's just Swank. He's always been the owner. And then he brought Ed Templeton on board with Toy Machine, and Jamie later with Zero, but yeah, so he owns it all.
Do you remember who was at that demo, that foundation demo?
Sure. Steve Olson, Lee Peterson, Frank Harada, Heath Kirchart, Josh Beagle, I think was the main dogs there. Paul Sharp wasn't there. And
I figured you were going to say Beagle and Harada. I didn't know if Kirchart was around yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was before Destroying America or whatever.
Oh, well before, yeah. That's before they. So like, as I was leaving Tumieto, those Barra and Heath were migrating. Because I worked with Jay Strickland, he was doing domestic sales when I worked there, and then he went on. You know, basically took Steve Barra and Heath Kirchart from Tumieto and took them to Birdhouse, where he became team manager at Birdhouse, and then later created Baker and then Bootleg. Yeah, and went on to do his things.
It's amazing because I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of questions for you after I was doing my research last night, but I also knew that stuff like this would come up, and I can't imagine the stories you have being in the industry, and then also just interviewing people, you know, with their covers and everything else.
Well, I think one thing that's kind of important for people to understand is that I'm not a drinker, I'm not a partier.
Yeah.
And even though like I've been around a lot of these skaters, I'm not partying with them.
Yeah.
You know, and so I always feel I'm on the outside of things, right? And so with my Tumieto days, I just had what I call, you know, just normal skateboard friends, non-industry people that I would go out and skate with that were my friends, you know?
Yeah.
And then at work, and I'd go to contests and be around, and I had my industry friends, you know, but I wouldn't see them that often. And so much in the 90s, I mean, it's still that way today, where so much of skateboarding is substance abuse stuff, you know, and or substance use, let's say, and
there's also a lot of cliques, and you know, a lot of people don't want to open up to strangers and whatnot.
Right, and one of the things with the library stuff is if they have no background information on what I'm doing, and I reach out to them and I've got all their covers, you know, sometimes I can appear as a super fan or whatever that might be a little unstable, right? And so, you know, we're 10 years, this year marks 10 years of me doing this, and hopefully, you know, people have a little bit of heard of us a little bit, or kind of understand.
They have to by now. I mean, your channel should have way more views than it does. Yeah, we don't get much views. I don't do the like and subscribe shit. And you still do good though. I mean, I was looking at some of your videos last night, and they were, you know, like 3,000 to 10,000 on a lot of them.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on who shares it and stuff, but it's a, you know.
I just realized, is this Jenkins art here on your sweatshirt?
Yeah, for
that's one of my favorites.
Channel Street little.
When I was young and I had that Transworld.
The Mel Bend,
What was the cartoon called?
Well, Mel Bend, and Mel Bend was the character, and now I guess Let Us Be was the other character. So there are two characters that would always be in the cartoons. Yeah.
Let Us Be is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Man, you've interviewed some legends. Jeez, I can't even imagine. Did you get nervous when you first met these people, or?
Well, again, you know, some people I have a relationship with, most people I don't, and I don't really get too nervous. I'm trying to be respectful of people's time. I'm trying not to forget anything that I need to ask.
Yeah.
And trying to make sure my microphones are working, you know, like I'm pretty try to be focused and just get what I need and let them get on with their day, right? So so I mean, so most things pretty well stick to the cover stuff. Sometimes sometimes I'll ask more personal questions, you know, what line of work are you in nowadays, and that sort of stuff, because
Let's take a left right here. There's one more car coming.
You know, I never lived the lifestyle, right, of a pro skater or a sponsored skater, but I've always been a skater that's had to work and this and that, and so I'm always fascinated by these guys that got sponsored as a kid and never really had a real job, and now they're in their 30s or 40s, and the checks stop coming, and they gotta reinvent themselves, right? And And there's a lot of success stories, and then there's a lot of horror stories about how people have or haven't done well, or haven't made that transition very well, right?
Yeah.
And so I try to, that's just something I'm super curious about, how they've managed to navigate life after pro skating. So, I love hearing those stories and digging a little bit, and I love to hear sobriety stories, from some of the biggest partiers in skateboarding that have outgrown that and gone on to, to be sober for so many years, and how that's changed their lives. I love hearing those stories because Lord knows I feel like skateboarding still promotes partying more than it should, and I love the fact that certain pros are pretty vocal about their sobriety, and I think kids need to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew Reynolds and Ellington.
Yeah, Ellington are key people for sure. And then Ed Templeton's always been one of my favorite guys because of his longtime vegan stance and anti-partying stance, and just a world champion skateboarder, but I just do my thing, and so he's always been a favorite.
Yeah, I used to rock sheep shoes.
Yeah.
Even before I had any ethical standpoint, I always loved Ed Templeton.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you want I rode. I had a BMX bike before I found skateboarding.
Yeah,
I like doing bunny hops and kickouts, but and now through college, I had a mountain bike in Colorado. What up, big dog? Where you going? That's a good looking cat.
Passed by here earlier.
Yeah, we'll call him Bobcat.
I was going to ask you about Overboard in Four Corners.
Okay.
Did you produce the video?
Yeah, filmed some of it. I brought a younger filmer along with me on the trip that edited it and filmed a lot of it.
Who was that?
Brian Mole.
Okay. How did you get the idea?
This was at a time where I'd kind of been chained to my desk at Tumyeto, and skate parks were finally starting to pop up across the country, and I just wanted to get out and skate all these new parks that were popping up. Yeah. The skate park listing in the back of Transworld just kept growing and growing and growing, and we'd see pictures and see little videos here and there, and just like, I want to skate this stuff. And so I had just developed this idea when I quit Tumyeto to go travel. I bought a van again, and I didn't really have the connects to bring anybody. I didn't have a budget to bring anybody. It was going to be a rough trip. Like, we're just sleeping in the van again and sleeping on people's floors, and can't pay you per diem, to pay for your food. It's just like, do you have a little money saved? Or can we sell your box of boards and make this work? But we worked with Garen Moore and Dave Coyne and Toby Parkhurst and a handful of different people that would jump in the van for a small segment of the tour, and we'd work on a little part with them, and it was just about seeing the country, meeting shop owners, and skating new stuff.
Yeah.
And then I had this, at the end of the day, I had a video that I needed to sell, and I felt like, by including as many locals in the thing, that most of the shops we went to that those kids rode for, they'd buy some copies of the video, right?
Yeah.
And I had my international people, my international distributor contacts still from my time at Tumyeto, and so certain European distributors took a sizable amount of videos, and it ended up kind of paying for itself, paying for the 5 months of travel, and it's a great time, met so many different people, and then through selling the Four Corners tour video, a VHS tape, that kind of led to the creation of Overboard Enterprises. And then the next year, I sold Cigar City. You know, I'd met Josh Stewart, and he had a couple of videos out, and Static One, and you know, and then I get a contact at Giant, and I'm selling 411s and on videos, and so then over the course, so that was like 99 that started, and I put it to bed in 2012. So over 13 years, we kind of became the source for video distribution, and the one-stop shop. You know, we had everybody's video.
That is so rad.
Yeah.
Those videos, I mean, you already know this, but they just meant so much to so many people.
Yeah.
And for you to be a distributor, getting those out to the public.
Well, yeah, one of the things I really took pride on was selling the regional videos, the independent videos, and helping those independent filmmakers get their videos out to a broader audience, you know. And I used to say, you know, if they just got one guy, if they got one guy on there whose name is familiar, you know, a sponsored Am or whatever in there, I can kind of, that's the hook I need to say, like, oh, this guy's in there, and okay, we'll take 3 copies, you know. And so
I know you have a great memory, because I've heard you during the cover discussions.
Yeah. I mean, I've built this an Excel document that has all the issues of the magazines and who's on the covers. I mean, I'm still filling it out for international covers and stuff, but for the main U.S. domestic mags, here's another. Oh, a couple more free Rangers. What up, guys? Oh yeah, you wanna?
Free Rangers.
Chet Childress would be psyched.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Blank canvas right there.
Yeah. But yeah, my memory. So I've built out. I know covers really well, but content of magazines, they're like, oh, you know, like somebody just since I've been on this trip, you know, I'm pretty routinely dealing with research issues where people will hit me up like, hey, do you know what? Off chance, do you happen to know what issue the Justin Pierce Memorial is in Transworld? I'm like, no. I'm like, what year did he die? You know, oh, July 2001. Okay, well, when I get home, I'll flip through some of the magazines around that time and see if I can find it, you know.
I can't imagine the countless hours you've flipped through magazines looking through stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and the stuff that I post on our Instagram, I don't have a strategy. I mean, with the covers discussions and knowing that I have to put one of those out every Sunday, I generally will kind of bank images that I can use for the main post for that day and stuff. But what I end up shooting and keeping on my camera roll is from when I have to go and look for something. Somebody's asked me to go try and find this or whatever. And then all the cool shit that I see in between finding that image, I'm shooting and keeping on my camera roll for use that week or the next month or whatever. And so I've gotten a little more complex about having a hard post, and then also having a picture of that guy with their covers, you know, so for the story. So I'll have the hard post, and then in the story I'll try and fill it in with a few other things that are focused on that guy for that day. And so, you know, just trying to build a little bit more of a story about a certain person, and yeah, just, you know, because it's essentially like I'm a historic preservationist, but I also feel like I'm a promoter of print, right? Even if it's old ass print, right? And so I love flipping through magazines, and I love, you know, certain people are out there scanning their images that they put up on their Instagram, where mine is pretty loose. It may not be the best photo to post on Instagram because I've just shot it, you know, on the road or whatever, and it's not scanned. But I hope that people, or I guess my justification in not scanning stuff is so that it's just like flipping through the magazine, you know. It's not polished. It's just happening, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, I like the curb cuts like this. Surfing.
Do you want to shout out any like current zines, maybe? Anyone doing cool shit that you know about?
Yeah. Well, so Thrasher is our last monthly publication in the U.S., right? But then Skate John is every 2 months. Boom. They've been consistent for over 2 years, or 10 years almost, and so that that is one that's not monthly, but very, very routine. And then in San Diego, this guy Tyler's been doing a zine called Cemental. It's mainly focused on backyard pools, and he's on issue 25 now.
You had those closer mags.
Yeah,
I was digging that.
Yeah, so that was funny. When you introduced yourself at the art show, you're like, "Oh, you got a closer mag," and the reach of social media is always perplexing, right?
Yeah.
And you were the only person that responded to that social media post about like, "Hey, if you see me and are curious about closer, if you see me at Phx Am, hit me up and I got a copy for you." And you were the only person, and nobody hit me up yesterday at the event. And I doubt
that boggles my mind, and
long shot, but
I would just hope more people would
you
be
were
paying
a success story.
Yeah, I would just hope that more people would be paying attention, and be like, "Oh, that looks like a cool mag. I'd love to check that out." And
yeah,
that guy, seemed
well,
like
I mean, the people that care already subscribe to it, right?
Yeah.
And you hope that you can get a few other people to learn about it and be stoked about it over the years. But
I was subscribed to Tales of.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
The
new issue of that should be coming out soon.
I just got the first 4.
Oh, good.
But it was like $100 or whatever, so I haven't renewed my subscription. I don't know if he's put the 5th one out yet or not.
No, it's coming out soon.
Okay.
Dave Swift is the kind of the curator of the one that's coming out soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Freeborn, is that?
John Freeborn, yeah.
What about other media forms? I know there's the big podcasts like 9 Club and The Bunt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know there's Svidak. He's doing a
Cleveland. Yeah.
He's doing that Ohio podcast. I know I'm from Austin, Texas, so there's a rad podcast called Won't Shut Up and Skate. I
met the guy. Yeah, I met him.
There's a few guys, but anyway, Shut Up and Skate was a Zorlak thing.
Yeah.
So I love that play on words. Won't shut up and skate.
Yeah, there's a new one out of St. Louis that's talking to all the old kind of the way Christians, focusing on Cleveland historic dudes. This one called Rusty Bearing is out of St. Louis and is kind of focusing on the godfathers of skateboarding in St. Louis area. For the last couple years, I've been doing this daily Name the Skater trivia thing. I don't know if you see that.
I love that too, yeah.
And that that ends up, the longer that goes on.
Do people flood your inbox when you post those?
I don't get flooded to where I'm not being able to respond to everybody, because I think you can only see after 100 people, 100 DMs, it like rolls over to where they're just gone.
Wow.
But yeah, so I yay or I heart, like I'll give an affirmative answer, or I'll say no and maybe give them a little hint. Every person that replies, and I get a lot of praise for that. Like, oh man, I look forward to this so much every morning, and it's all of us as skaters, we have this very rare skill set that it is not going to get you a job anywhere, but we have all this knowledge in our head that you can only really share with somebody that's a skateboarder too, right? And so I'm being able to stimulate parts of these guys' brains that don't get stimulated very often.
No,
in that respect. So
Chico does the Morning Radness also.
Oh, okay.
There's not many of you out there that post daily, but I love that.
Yeah. So Skateboarding Hall of Fame needs to be plugged. Like, they are a selfless organization that is all centered around skateboarding history, right? And they have this amazing museum that's in Simi Valley, California, and Simi Valley, California is only 45 minutes, maybe 30 to 45 minutes from downtown LA, and yet it just seems like it's so hard for anybody in LA or Orange County to get to Simi Valley to see this amazing fucking resource.
Yeah.
And Todd, the executive director, puts so much effort into things up there, and it's just, you know, just like anybody that comes over and gets a tour of the house and sees the Master Archive in San Diego, you're blown away by the scope of it. And again, and it's the same thing with the Hall of Fame. If you make the effort to go up there, you will not be disappointed. You know, there's just so much to look at and so much history to absorb that it's totally worth your time. You know, you just got to make the effort. But I guess you have to have the interest as well. So, but yeah, I can't praise Todd's work enough, and I really encourage people to check that out. If you ever get out to the Los Angeles area, go check out the Skateboarding Hall of Fame.
Anything else you want to plug?
Well, you know, we really need help with getting international magazines. So I plead to all of your subscribers outside of the United States of America, if you have any extra magazines from your home country, we definitely need help in filling holes in our international collection. Whether it be Monsters from Germany or Rad magazines from England, or let's see, Slide, we're missing a few issues. The guy from Slide magazine in Peru sent us, I don't know, 90% of the issues of his run from over 10 years of doing that magazine.
So sick.
But we're still missing like 5 issues, you know, and nothing gives me more pleasure than being able to get the last magazine to complete a set.
Yeah.
You know, as an anal retentive, organized kind of person, that is one of the best feelings, to be like, boom, okay, I've been looking for this last issue for years. We finally found it, or it came in a random donation, but there it is. And now we have a complete set of this magazine, you know. And
do you have a section on your website of things you're looking for?
No, so you kind of have to, we have to kind of create a dialogue, but I'll see that somebody's from Germany or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I can send them a list of the magazines from their region that either because I keep track of things based on whether we have it or we need it. If it's a lot of stuff, it's just what we have, maybe the few that we have, and we need everything else. Or flip side, you know, if we've pretty much got everything from a certain collection, it's just the few issues we're missing, you know. And so all right, so we're coming back around to Desert West, and the line that for kids getting into the contest this morning to spectate is growing.
I gotta ask you about bikes real quick.
Yeah, let's talk. So yeah, I kind of touched on that.
You were a kid.
Yeah, I kind of touched on my early days of just jetting around the neighborhood and blasting off curb cuts and stuff. I never was a racer. I loved the movie Rad.
Yeah.
But then I graduated to a mountain bike in college. Never was downhill. It was just getting around campus on my mountain bike. And then I got panniers for my mountain bike when I got to San Diego, because I'd be going to farmers markets and trying to buy watermelons and transport them on my bike and breaking spokes and shit. And it got to a point of just like, enough's enough, and I was able to find a secondhand Surly long haul truckers, which my current ride is now, to where I've got bags that can carry weight, and I don't have to stress if I find a good watermelon at the farmer's market. Yeah, Matt.
What's that?
So yeah, so I've done a little bit of bike packing on that Surly. I normally travel with my Surly, except definitely on my longer trips, because it's nice to get to a city and then park.
Yeah.
And then explore, be able to go to the skate shop on my bike. I've got the skateboard holder thing that attaches to the thing. And
yeah, I saw one of your, like a van check video of yours, and you had a bike back.
Yeah, so that normally that fits in this little slot by my sleeping platform in there, and I'll bust it, I'll bring it with me when I'm on the road for 5-6 months at a time. But some of these short trips, and especially when I like the exhibit, because the three panels of plywood that I use to hold the magazines when I do an exhibit fit under my sleeping platform, and it's a pain in the ass when my bike's in the van as well. So on these shorter trips, especially when there's an exhibit involved, I just leave my bike at home.
Yeah.
And
how often do you ride?
Every few days.
Yeah.
You know.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my missions.
But riding, it might just be to the store to pick up groceries or going to meet my friends for a round of disc golf or whatever. So
anything's better than nothing.
Yeah.
That's one of my missions, to get more people on bike, but specifically skateboarders.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how, finding spots. Just ride around and you can find so many spots.
Where you don't have to turn around, make a big U-turn in a car. It's just so much easier to explore.
Let's go this way a little bit. And you just see so much more when you're on a bike.
Yeah.
Spots you'll never see when you're driving by in a car.
Well, right. And that's kind of the way I look at the van is versus flying. Why don't you go to Tampa Pro? Why don't you go here? It's because I don't fly. I haven't flown in approaching 15 years now, and I like the slower pace of being in the van. Again, where you get to see, you stop, you get to see everything along the way instead of just flying and arriving.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go over to my truck. I have some stuff for you.
Cool.
We didn't talk about stickers. You're also collecting stickers, huh?
Yeah, well, so our mission statement says something along the lines of to preserve everything that's been printed about skateboarding. So a couple of years ago, I just kind of was like, dude, stickers are printed.
You can wait there.
I gotta, why not include stickers, And I had a small collection of stickers that I've saved over the years, and especially working in the skateboard industry, you end up with packs of stickers, 25 packs of stickers. And for me, a lot of those would just end up in a shoebox, right? And so now I encourage people to dig through their shoebox of stickers and see if they have any extras that they want to get rid of,
So let's start with stickers.
Okay.
So a lot of these are really old.
Awesome. Older the better.
First of all, these are for you.
Thank you.
There's one sticker.
Good.
Those are Tuesday's Turn stickers.
Yeah.
But there's one in there from an old Austin, Texas skateboard company. So, Michael Sieben.
Sure.
He did the art for that. That's an old...
Early Sieben. Southern, huh?
Yeah. Southern Star Skateboards is what it was called.
Gorgeous.
And that was a company by the Boban twins. The Boban twins were featured in an Anti-Hero ad when they were in Texas. I don't remember. I just remember the Boban twins were in there.
Rad.
But anyway, most of these are really old stickers, and if you want to pick out a couple, there might be a couple I say no.
Yeah.
But
is this Union Wheel Company?
Probably.
Wow.
I really have no idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'll thin out some of your doubles here.
Oh, for sure. Any doubles.
Ooh. Can you do without this Duff sticker?
Yeah, you can have that. I actually took some stuff out.
Oh, we got 2 sheeps. Awesome.
I took some stuff out that I knew. Just stuff I couldn't give away. I had like a Rick Cossack Big Brother sticker.
Oh, with him in the camera holding it. Yeah, that's awesome with the cartoon.
Had some slap stickers, some slap patches. I can't get rid of that stuff. I don't know why I hold on to it.
I know, but it holds a memory, and
so I worked
it's hard
at
to
this
explain.
board shop right here, and
SBI. Well, so I knew of it in Fresno.
One.
Okay, because I knew Freddie at the Bakersfield one.
Yeah. Freddie came up to start the Sacramento one.
Ah, yeah, he's great, man.
Do you know where he's at nowadays?
He's still in Bakersfield, as far as I know.
I don't know his social media.
Yeah, it's like I can find it for you. Ooh, remember Nodis riding boards that had this logo on it when he was on Element? And yeah, this was the main logo when I worked at Foundation.
Yeah.
What else we got in here? High Fidelity Wheel Company, or
those are stereo stickers.
Stereo stickers, yeah. And Chapman, wow. Oh.
Yeah.
So fun story.
I have a story about that one
Go
too.
for
Go
it.
ahead.
Well, so within a year of me starting to work at Tumyeto, Jamie got his shoe on America, and I had just started kind of networking and meeting people at other skateboard companies, and I remember getting the blue with white rubber pair of Jamie Thomas's were like the first pair of free shoes that I got in the skateboard industry.
Wow, that's
yeah. And that was the box that I kept my sticker collection in forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This came from.
I had just gotten back to Austin, and I had a pair of the all black ones.
Uh-huh.
And I had a camera bag with 2 camera bodies and 3 lenses in my car. I parked at the local skate shop, Blondie's.
Uh-huh.
And someone broke into my car, and they stole my camera bag and my brand new Jamie Thomas's that were in the box. I mean, brand new. And man, I was heartbroken.
Oh, that's tragic. Yeah. Speaking of heartbreaking stories, I hear a lot of them pretty routinely of guys that'll be like, dude, I'd love to donate magazines to you, but my parents threw them all out like 20 years ago, or, because people move out, they leave their magazines at home with their parents, and sometimes after a while the parents get sick of it and never ask, and they just throw shit away. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of horror stories over the years of
it's very
what
admirable
got thrown
what
in
you
this.
do. I know you help people get back in touch with, like maybe a pro who lost their collection or whatever.
Yep.
I just much respect for that, because I know how much that means to certain people, and I've heard stories about you helping people out.
Ooh, Cal Skate, one of the oldest shops in the world. Howard at Cal Skate, a legend in the industry. Yeah, man, these are great.
All right, man, you got enough.
Yeah,
Time's
enough.
up. Okay,
Thank you.
so I want to just have a couple things to show you here. The next time you come, I'm going to have a bunch of magazines for you. I just didn't have time to go through them all. I can't give you this.
Dude, that's Costa Rica?
Yep. So this is my homie.
Do you know Ullman?
No, but I know this guy very well.
Rad.
He lived in Austin for a short while. His name's Esteban. Everyone calls him Stevie.
Sick.
And he's a very, very well-known videographer in
Costa Rica?
In Costa Rica, yeah.
Amazing.
Costa Rica Stevie is what people call him.
That's
But
right.
I didn't know if you'd...
Yeah, so Ullman is the guy that worked on this magazine, and
This is for you to keep if you want it.
yeah, no, sweet. Shit.
So this, I'm going to give it back to you. I already read it.
Okay.
But I had a couple... I went through... So I have a box of old... I used to just tear the ads out when I was young. Yeah.
Tear sheets.
And there's a couple things. Do you recognize this story right here? Voyage to My Society?
No.
This was... I can't give this to you.
That's okay.
When I was a kid, this came... I'm almost positive this came out of a Trans World. And this was...
Oh, no, Thrasher.
Was it Thrasher?
Because of this ad.
Oh, wow.
They never advertised in Transworld, but yeah.
Wow, that's so awesome. You know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I was a kid, I mean, I kept this for all these years.
Yeah.
This is just like a short story, like fiction.
Right, yeah.
And it's about, this...
We don't see enough of that.
This magical skate world.
Oh,
and this is before all the parks and stuff,
Right.
So I used to dream about this shit when I was a kid.
Awesome.
And I thought that when I showed that to you, maybe...
Yeah, it's funny. There's certain things... Oh, yeah, and Kevin Ansell fucking did that illustration. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember that article, but...
So I just...
Carol cover.
I grabbed this because...
Ooh.
So this is the closer issue.
Oh, rad.
This is the closer issue. And I found this old indie ad when I was going through stuff. And check it out. It's from the same day.
Yeah.
But it's a different photo. And I love shit like this because look at the photo they went with. I think this is a better photo. He looks a little higher.
A little more pissed off.
Yeah, he has the look. So that always amazes me when I see shit like that. It's like, what decision?
Somebody had to pick. You know, it ain't easy to pick between good shots.
Well, let me see the cover of that just so we can check them out.
Yeah,
since
Tom
they were
K.
nice enough to...
Issue 8. Yeah, so Yeah, I'm psyched on what Jamie Owens
And then
doing.
I just brought these because when I was going through these last night, these two struck me because, I mean, I was a huge fan of, Naudis and Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
But look at from October 90 to August of 91, so less than a year. Think about how much skateboarding changed.
Yeah. I mean, and even the board design, he's still kind of riding an older school shape here in 91, but this is very, very little nose. He's got more nose here, but it's still not, we haven't jumped to popsicle yet.
So the last thing I want to ask you, I know people have asked you before, but just some favorites of yours. Covers, video parts you remember, favorites growing up, things that maybe have changed recently.
Yeah, Tilt Mode Army and Man Down.
Okay, I love that video. San Jose.
I mean, the first video I saw, the first two videos were Bones Brigade Video Show and Future Primitive, where it set the stage for accessible skateboarding. Lance Mountain made skateboarding look accessible and so fun.
Yeah.
And I felt like the Tilt Mode videos took that to a whole new level. And not necessarily that it was like shit I could do, but they made skateboarding with your friends look so fun.
Yeah.
And then FM2 was another video that a little bit later that I always point to as my favorite video. It's a Fort Myers video that this guy Rob Hoovis made, and it again,
that NorCal stuff.
Well, it ended up being, it's from Fort Myers, is where their crew from is Alyssa, and then it's kind of an outtake of Six Newell. Like Rob lived at Six Newell with Frank Gerwer and Dave Duran and stuff.
There was a connection there.
Yeah, and so I just thought
Gerwer's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so Rob ends up making this downhill video of those guys making the little skate carts, and that. Yeah, find Rob Hoovis and the skate park or the skate cart segment that he made from the Six Newell video is just outstanding. And it makes
fun creative stuff.
The stuff that happens outside of skateboarding that is just as joyful and exciting. Yeah. And covers the Phil Shaw slap cover from January '94.
Is it holding off like a big ledge into a ditch or something?
No, that's a poster. That Rowley mentioned that he for one of his skateboard mag covers is an homage to that Phil Shaw thing, but that was a slap poster.
Okay,
wasn't a cover. And that's the other thing that's interesting to see when I do covers discussions. One of the questions I ask people at the end after they've talked about their covers is what covers stood out to you as a younger skater, what's burned in your brain. And it's interesting to hear what people think were covers,
Yeah.
And maybe that was just a photo in the mag or in this case a poster of Phil Shaw, but no.
Like a rail on top of a ledge or something? Okay.
No, I mean his Thrasher cover is doing the 5-0 grind at the top of Fort Miley.
I remember that one for sure.
Yeah, but this slap one is kind of obscure. He's just doing a frontside ollie on a mini ramp in San Jose area, and but it's the colors, the kind of the way it's an unusual slap logo that's on the top, and it's just stuck out to me as just classic. And September '86 Thrasher cover with Mark Gonzalez was my first Thrasher, so that's very important to me.
Okay. And, what's he doing in that one?
This like weird foot plant off of something that looks like it's Fort Miley, but it's a different set of banks up in San Francisco. I like early on, and I've pretty well stuck with this, but like my 4 favorite vert skaters are Chris Miller, Tom Groholski, Alan Losey, and Ben Schroeder. And
love Schroeder for sure.
Because growing up in Kansas, like I was super influenced by vert skating, but we didn't really have vert ramps. And plus, I was scared of vert ramps, not never having easy access to one to get comfortable on them. But we had mini ramps, and so I always gravitated to the guys that did lip tricks well, because that's stuff that I could learn on mini ramps, And so
Barker Barrett.
Barker's great, yeah. But Yeah.
But yeah, Phx Am, man, got to be one of my all-time favorites. And that reminded me, I'll just shout out Schmitty from Talkin' Schmidt podcast. I know he's working on some kind of a Phx Am documentary.
Oh, good. Good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Glad
really appreciate what you do for the community. There's so many people that do, man. You're beloved in our community, and we all thank you. And
yeah, I'm just.
If there's anything I can do to ever help you out, or anyone watching this, reach out. I'm gonna put all Kevin's contact information below.
Yeah, so it is nice to know, like, to have those kind of offers, because transportation ends up being one that I have to take people up on. Is like, if there's a time-sensitive donation in Chicago and I'm in San Diego, I might need somebody that's in the Chicago area to go over and pick up a certain amount of boxes of magazines and sit on them in your garage until I can come through next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Or we can figure out a shop that wants to do a library. So, there's a lot of transportation issues because shipping boxes of magazines is cost prohibitive. We don't have the funding for that sort of thing. Maybe someday we will, but till FedEx or UPS sponsors us, it really relies on whenever I can figure out a way to get to where a big donation is, or relying on a few other people that aren't opposed to taking a 3-hour drive to go help us out.
Yeah.
This was fun. This bike's awesome.
Any last shout outs?
Just all the folks all the shops that are out there doing it. It is harder and harder today to survive as a skate shop. And so do get out there and support your local skate shop like Cowtown or Cardinal or Escapist or No Comply or whoever it might be that's doing that in their town and supporting their skate scene that needs to be supported.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look what they've built here.
Yeah.
One of the biggest contests in the entire world every year here.
Absolutely. 23 years going.
And it helps the local community out also, I mean, beyond just this, because, they give the park a facelift every year.
Yeah.
And then they leave. Usually they have some new obstacles.
Yeah, it gets to stay and benefit everybody.
It's kind of crazy that when they first designed this park, there was so much open space that it was almost like the perfect place to expand on.
The canvas to expand on.
Yeah, over the years, and now it's just a completely different park.
For sure.
All right, Kevin, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you for these donations.